Sean.
Marco.
We are here to deliver a message from the RSA conference team.
It's an important message from our friends. RSA Conference 2025, just around the corner, where insights drive action, solutions emerge, and community connections spark innovation. You'll be there. I'll be there. We invite everybody else to be there April 28th through May 1st. You can secure your spot at rsaconference.com/ITSPMAG25. That's ITSPMAG25. See you all there.
I'll be there. See you there.
Marco.
Sean, talking about random.
Are you random or unscripted?
I am both. You're only random.
I am random.
With that hat on. Yeah, I didn't expect that. It should have been random, unscripted, and unexpected, but then it would have been a little too complicated.
There you go.
So why are we here?
I have no idea. We had nothing else better to do than to start a new show today.
And totally unscripted, because I didn't know when I woke up this morning that we would actually create a new show.
There you go. A new show.
Done it.
In a few hours, we decided to go live. We found some music, found some imagery, found a hat.
Found the name.
The topic inspired me this morning, which we'll get into in a second. But Random and Unscripted. We'll randomly do these. They'll be unscripted, as you'll quickly realize as we dig into the topic today.
I think they already realized that, by the way. But
yeah, I think they realized just from knowing us anyway.
They already did that. They did realize that for sure.
Yes.
So tell me the intention here, because it's also unclear. I'm going to try different titles for this. Like, it's unscripted, unclear, everything.
Well, we each have shows that are targeted at a particular topic, right? You look at audio signals, where you look at storytelling. We have audio signals podcasts with storytelling and books and things like that. And of course, redefining society and technology, where you look at how tech impacts how we live and the other way around. Of course, I look at redefining cybersecurity, which is all about business and protecting our data and our operations to generate growth and protect the revenue that we create in business. And then I just launched a new podcast, Music Evolves, which is all about music and technology and how we unlock creativity and drive creativity and leverage passion and all the goodness that music brings to have more fun in life. And that's kind of the...
Plus, we have the on location where we talk about conference events and all of that. And so we thought we didn't have enough. So what
those are too well defined. Yeah. Can we find something more random?
and more unscripted? I think we're pretty well known for being unscripted. Just to be specific.
I don't think I've seen a script in my life, to be honest with
you. I try sometimes to follow a script, and then I'm like, I just can't. I can't.
Actually, I do recall a moment where we tried at a conference to follow a script, and
and didn't it make you nervous?
It was better when we screwed it up and went off script.
We practiced, and then we were like, you know what? This is not gonna work.
Yes.
We threw away the script. We just have a couple of bullet points to follow, and it turned out pretty good, because that's honestly is who we are. We've been doing this for 10 years now, and it's just fun the way it is. I think it's part of who we are and what we like to do. And I think what is important about this is that what we like to do is to pick a topic and freestyle around it. That's why we decided to do this, and because we're lazy and we don't want another job of production, we decided to go live with it too. So we're talking about live, unscripted, and completely random. Yeah. So let's jump into that, Sean.
Well, I'm randomly getting offers on Reverb for a new acoustic guitar, which I'm sure I don't need.
Oh, you do need. You always need a new guitar.
I know I need.
You send me the dog that sniffs the people that need a new guitar, and it was right on the money for me.
Yes.
But anyway, listen. So the
Yeah, the other
story this morning. How did we decide to go from not having a podcast,
well,
not having another podcast, to having a
yeah,
podcast right now?
I'm fortunate enough to get to talk to some folks who look at things from a business perspective, and a story was told that technology is being used in business to monitor employee communications and email and other messaging apps to see if people like each other, see if teammates are fighting with each other, see if there are issues with productivity and yeah, I guess and perhaps HR issues. Who the heck knows? All the fun stuff that could be identified. So it's basically AI enabled employee sentiment analysis. So plugging into
Well,
the
that's a mouthful
it is a
right
mouthful.
there.
It's randomly created by AI, by the way. But yeah, basically looking at the behavior of employees through communications to see what's going on, who likes each other, who's fighting, are there issues with the teams, are there issues with HR policy, and of course this is just one very finite use case, but it's interesting.
So, you remember that show we used to have with Diana when we were talking about
I remember well.
picking a topic?
Yeah,
It
through
was a
the tech
weekly
line.
show through the tech
Rooted
line.
in tech. Yeah.
So I feel like you kind of ask indirectly what is my opinion on that. And I didn't read anything about it, but I want to highlight the fact that we are not always going to talk about technology, but today
Right.
apparently we are. And I guess a lot of times we will talk about technology. So the first question I'm going to ask you, because I didn't read the article, is
Well, there's no article. It was a story.
well, somebody wrote it, so it's a
Somebody wrote an
story.
article, yeah.
Are the employees aware that there is somebody watching you, or in this case, maybe listening or reading and interpreting what the hell is going on? So, first question in my mind, obviously, it's privacy, and then there is a lot of ethics just to sprinkle on top of that. But maybe we start with that. I mean, it's something that somebody maybe can opt in or opt out, and why would they opt in?
Well, I can't speak to again. This wasn't an article, and I don't have the link to any article, so it was more
No,
of a
I'm
story. I
asking
think
you. I'm
I
not
know.
asking.
So my view on that is, I think generally speaking, when an employee gets onboarded, they sign a bunch of stuff, and in there is
Yeah.
we as the organization have the right to monitor certain things to make sure we're not breaking the law, basically, or going against internal policies which you agree to follow, and the employee signs that stuff. Some organizations are more aggressive with that. Some maybe don't have a lot of things in place. Maybe some don't make employees sign something for that and still do it. I think it's probably all over the board. I don't have any insight into statistics there, but I think if an employee, the organization wants to do that, to I'm just thinking of, they don't want monitoring for like pornography, right, or monitoring for watching copywritten content, and they're not supposed to while online while at work. Certain policies like things, so companies will monitor whether they're looking at conversations in this way. I don't think the things would be that explicit. Um, Even if you do sign it at the beginning of your time or tenure, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, do you remember that they're monitoring? And do you know that they're monitoring in this way? Probably not.
Well, I mean, let me switch a little bit here, because I know we put a time limit to this. Otherwise, we could ramble for a very long time.
Like I just did.
No. It makes sense. You're looking at it from an operational point of view. And what I'm thinking here is more like how much it's going to affect people' personal life. Because what you mentioned when you said that today, it was the fact that the intention is to see if people get along. So it's kind of like not just, oh, I'm using a shadow IT, I'm using my own device, or I'm going to a website where I'm not supposed to go. This is about letting an AI decide and interpret your feelings and your relationship in the work environment, and
Yeah.
that based on that, it could add a bunch of algorithms and equations and whatever you want, and decide that, are you fitting in the team? Should you get fired? Do you need to switch team? Do you need to switch your role in the company? And we're going to let AI decide that? Or are we going to say AI said so, and then somebody say, yep, I agree, I don't agree? And that's, again, is where, the big conversation with AI is how much is going to take an action or influence the action that needs to be taken, either giving a loan to someone, putting somebody in jail, or bunch of random things that we know are full of biases.
Yeah.
So how do I know that it's not getting in some biases into this kind of conversations that we're
Exactly.
having?
Exactly. And that, who knows what it's, and maybe somebody who's listening might have some insight into how this stuff actually works. But I can
And if they
can
do,
envision it.
leave a comment, please.
And I'm envisioning it looking at the words written, of course, the punctuation used, perhaps the timing of the response in the communications. If there's a long delay, it might mean something versus a rapid response. Is it multiple messages? Do they write something and delete something and rewrite something else? I don't know. A lot of that might be used to determine the sentiment, but I don't know. Is it? I think, like many things new, hopefully, it's used for guidance. So maybe it flags a situation that then is raised to the manager. The manager can then monitor as a human, right? I don't know if that's
Yeah,
possible, and then maybe have a conversation. I don't think you send it straight up to HR and somebody
no,
thinks, unless
but
it's egregious.
just the idea that is being used, it makes me think, and I tell you why too. When you write, you're not communicating with your hands. As an Italian, I'm quite familiar with that. Facial expression. Some people just simply don't write that well, and we misinterpret a lot of text messages because maybe it's a dot dot dot, maybe it's a period, maybe it's a comma that shouldn't be there. So to use the text to in the written language to do that, it's kind of pushing it to the extreme of what communication between people is, and so that's something to consider.
Yeah, different levels. I mean, language, right?
A
English is
language
your first
barrier too.
language. Yeah.
Like, look at me, second, it's on my prior language, and I maybe misinterpret something I write. So, but again, I mean, this is, again, as you say, it wasn't an article, but it's something that you throw to the table, and I said, hey, we should talk about it. So we created a podcast about it, to talk about this kind of stuff. But it made me think right now to another conversation we had a few months ago about in-cabin sensors and monitoring in a car, and I was covering another event about a car show, and how that could be useful if it's detecting facial expression to show that you're tired, that you shouldn't be driving. Maybe there is that monitors if you're drunk or you drink too much or not, or it brings it to the excess of going, I remember at that time, into sexual orientation of people, because it will listen to the conversation you have, what you do, are you unhappy, are you depressed, and then it opened an entire can of worms, and
Yeah.
they're going to use for marketing, or you're going to use to infringe your, I don't know, driver license and insurance, or, I mean, it's just scary, right?
And I think there's a movie I saw where the employees were on a road trip for work, and it was a company vehicle, and the company monitored the, the conversation, and somebody got fired because of the conversation. And it also reminded me that I think the for the how good of a driver are you intoxicated or under the influence, and I think some of the, I don't know for certain, but I think some of the rental car agencies leverage some of the in-cabin sentiment
Mm-hmm. Yep.
to figure out, are you a good person to rent to, perhaps? And what else are they using that data for? Who the heck knows?
Mm-hmm. But my question for you and for everybody listening is the it's already happening, and can we go back? And my fear is that we can't go back. I don't care how many lawsuits you're gonna have, how many group of rights and it's gonna come out. I think that unfortunately, and this is a bigger conversation, that technology first happened, and then we look at what it does, and I think it's just too late.
that ship has sailed. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a question for everybody to ponder. What's going on around us? I mean, there's a gazillion ways we could take this conversation, but
no, and we're gonna take it there because because this is random, right? So I'm gonna remind you a conversation that we had in Singapore, 2018. Me and you in a car with a cab driver there, and we were at RSA conference in Singapore, and we went into this conversation about all monitor in the street. We didn't see any cop car going around, and they're like, yeah, we don't need to, because if it happened an accident, there's probably a camera that saw that accident happen, and we just exchanged the insurance or whatever it is, the driver license, and then we know who is going to be guilty, or whose responsibility is. And most of the time, if there is no somebody is getting hurt in the accident, it just ends there, and somebody make decision. And we asked, are you okay with that? Are you okay with being monitored like that? And they were like, yeah, because it makes my life safer. Now, I think you asked this to an American or an European, or the answer is probably going to be completely different. So a lot of people, where I'm going with this is that they're going to come up with, maybe somebody's going to get the good out of it. Like, oh, you can't, the car's not going to start if you're drunk, if your alcohol level is higher than such and such. If we're going to fall to sleep, the car is going to just park itself on the side. So it's in the interest of everybody driving. But that comes with, I don't know, it's a good thing packaged in a lot of potentially bad thing.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of like the conversation that we need to have. But I'm not going to be positive about this. Sorry. I see a dystopia here, not an utopia.
Well, speaking of cars and things like that, I mean, we're both in LA at the moment, the land of high-speed car chases. I'm just thinking, why can't we use technology to limit the number of high-speed chases that put so many lives at risk, right? We rely on a spike strip to blow out tires, where if somebody enters the car angry, maybe they don't even get to drive angry. But if they're consistently driving over the stated speed limit, maybe the car doesn't let them speed, or
so you're saying
down the wrong way of the road, in a one-way road, or on the wrong side of the freeway. I mean, I don't know. Technologies have to help us, I think. Here.
Right. So what you're saying is that in this case, you will be okay with that.
I think, yeah, if there's a huge impact on society's safety. I don't know.
So
Just
that's
it's
okay.
not my car. I want to be able to do whatever I want.
No, I know. I'm just being provocative here because right now your instinct is to get into the side of maybe the outcome is more positive than negative.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, right?
Well, that's why we're talking about it. That's the beauty of it, right? Because again, then I could ask the other question, because it's a random conversation. I can say, why the hell are we still making cars with 450 horsepower that can go at 300 miles per hour when I can't even put it on third gears and not be over the limit and taking my license suspended. Just don't make those damn cars anymore. Somebody's not gonna like what I said.
Maserati on the Audubon. It's pretty dang fun, my friend.
I was there not too long ago, but for some reason, accidents don't happen as much as here. There
are rules that people follow.
Right. But I mean, again, I think the problem is always not about the technology, but how you use it, and that's an excuse for a lot of position.
So the big picture for me, just on this point now, as my brain's going, is there technology to help us with the norm, so that the norm happens more safely, at better rates, not speed, because we're talking about car, but whatever life is happening, can it happen more effectively, more efficiently? Could we leverage technology and automation to make the norm great, or better at least?
Wait, so you want technology to resolve technology?
Exactly.
You sound like a technologist.
But then there's the extreme, right? The extreme outer and then the extreme inner.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps technology can help guard us from the extremes on either end. And I'm picturing a circle here, like one, not unlike one that's on the display here in the background for our screen, but just, yeah, protect us from ourselves, protect society from individuals. I'm being a little.
Oh, you're so cute. So not too long ago, and there was this, I think was Schmidt, the guy from Google, that in an article said, I think it was before CES. Anyway, I was reading that he said that you're gonna need an AI to protect ourselves from the excess of AI. And at that point, I don't remember, but I dropped whatever I had in my hand because I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Hold my beer.
Because the last thing that I need is to rely on AI to protect ourselves from AI. But maybe that's where we're going to end. I don't know. You just said it. Technology maybe is the equalizer of the excess, and it may as well be. But to me, as a human right now, it makes me quite concerned.
Because that example you gave is, well, maybe not exactly explicitly, and I don't know if I explicitly said it either, but I think there's technology to put guardrails up and control. And then there perhaps is technology that shapes a culture and drives a set of, highlights the ethics that we want to live by, which then obviously is the culture. And I'm thinking to Sydney when I was there, and basically every street, every road, every highway has cameras on it, checking for speed, checking for, are you using your phone while driving? It doesn't stop people from speeding, right? But it creates a culture where you don't speed for the most part, unless you're an a-hole, right? So the technology is not stopping the car from speeding. The technology is instilling a set of ethics and morals for that society, and people create a culture where they don't speed for the most part. So
interesting. But I also think that we should stop. We shall stop. We'll never stop, but we should, to deploy technology and then think about it. And that's a big conversation that at the core of everything that I talk about on redefining society and technology. And it's like, before you deploy it and then decide if it's used for good or bad, decide how it should be used. Or if the chances are it's going to be used for bad, and so maybe you don't deploy it at all. But where do you decide that? That's the big question, philosophical question. Like, in the world, if you don't do it, let's say in the United States, chances are somebody are gonna do it is gonna do it somewhere else. Genetic manipulation. I remember the medical community said can't do it, and then somebody, I believe in China, said, "Fuck it, I just did it. Now what?"
Oh,
So,
well, I want to bring it back to the sentiment piece and AI connection to it, because it's pretty binary. This vehicle is either driving over 100 kilometers an hour or it isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
The picture, there might be some variance, but is that person on the phone while they're driving?
Right. Yeah.
Kind of black and white there as well. There may be little slight gray areas, but when we're talking about sentiment, what are
Feelings,
people's
emotions.
feelings? What are their intentions? How are they receiving information? How are they responding? What's the connection between those things? Everybody's different. Everybody comes from a different background. We talk about language, but somebody from one country
No, it's
versus
culture, or
another,
no language, culture.
somebody that grows up being homeschooled versus public school versus private school versus charter school, somebody who's artistic versus mathematical, or somebody who's both, has engineering mind versus political mind. I don't know. I'm just throwing out differences here, and everybody is completely different, right? We may have similarities, but that doesn't mean we all think the same. Doesn't mean we respond to situations the same way. So the sentiment piece, raises a question: what data is it based? Is it being trained on? First off, you mentioned the word bias. Is it bias data? How do we know? I don't know. This one in particular is, forget that it's just employees, just the AI trying to figure out the sentiment of and intent of what people are thinking and feeling, and it's
Yeah, well,
quite something.
I think it's a great point.
Maybe with some facial recognition. I don't know. Are they using the cameras? I have no idea.
But even if you have facial recognition, you may have a condition because you just can't express certain feelings the way that somebody else does. Maybe an extreme condition, but it exists. Or maybe for you, you smile and you're being sarcastic. And I don't know if AI right now is able to pick up sarcasm. And based also on the way that it's actually just written communication, it's even more concerning. But I like the fact that you brought it back here, and I think we're starting to wrap our thought about it. I think that if it's a binary choice, it's quite easy. It's good or bad. The problem is that most of things are not just good or bad. Most of things are good, bad, goodish, badish, and a lot of gray in between. And emotion and feelings, I think we all agree that that's what make us different from AI, and make a lot of people question why, if AI is ever going to become a person, right? I mean, we talk about giving right to the AI and having feelings and writing poetry, or is it just copying other people's poetry? So even the interpretation of the feelings, it's something that I would just stay the hell out of it. Like even just deploying something like that, it just sounds so weird.
Well,
It's random.
I'm gonna blow this up a little bit. I know we're wrapping here, but think about the full circle of this. So kind of to the point of that I just made with technology isn't necessarily controlling directly, but it's tricking us or guiding us, or so when we respond a certain way, right? This particular topic we're talking about is, can it identify how somebody's responding through their messaging if there's an issue on the team? That was the original point. what if that data could then be used to train people how to better respond, how to write a better message, and that could be useful. But if you remember some of the early conversations we had on this whole topic of the grand connection between technology and society, that my personal fear is that that loop is closed, that circle completes, and technology is defined by who we are, and then the technology defines who we are, and we end up in this world where we all have similar experiences, living in it, connecting to different things, and like everything's artificially created, and we live virtually through a lot of things, and I feel that there's, again, good and bad, right? we end
Yeah,
up
but you're
we end up
just
in a
picture.
world where we
I love that you're ending it with this,
yeah,
because you're picturing like Metropolis, the movie, back in the days, and how you break out in being human again, used in 1984 by Apple, and smashing the big computers with a Big Brother on it.
mm,
And what you said that kind of really made me think is, what if you use this to train people to interact better with other people, but you're just, as you say, you're just creating a machine,
it's a
right?
world of no personalities.
Exactly. It's a
I wouldn't choose to randomly wear this hat for this unscripted conversation
you
today,
know what,
because
I love this because I think that random and the capacity to be unscripted, it's something that make us very human, right? It make us
yep,
able to get on this, throw a topic there, agree, disagree, make fun of each other, have a different perspective, and then eventually end up with nothing, really, because we're just having a conversation. And I hope the people listening start thinking again. And it's because we are able to, as human, to have just do something for the hell of it, for the pleasure, that you don't need a reason for it.
yep.
And if you think binary, then you need a reason for everything. And we don't want to be that.
I don't want to be that.
I don't want to be that. I want
I
to be
want to.
unscripted and random.
I might have a weird sense of humor and a dry personality, dry humor, but I'm happy with it.
There
And
you go. I think that's the lesson.
yeah,
So
I'm not hurting anybody with it, I don't think.
I
I hope
guess
not.
the lesson is be unscripted, be random, and
Yes.
and share your thoughts
Yeah.
about what you think about the conversation we just had.
The one thing that's not random for us, Marco, is we hope we get people to think. That's the one consistent line here. So
Yeah, and ourself, because
yeah, myself included. Yeah.
when you told me that we were going to talk about this, I had no idea where we were going to end up. But
Neither did I.
I think maybe we made some good point, and maybe not. And no matter what, we're going to be back outside of our regular programs, which
That's right.
is cybersecurity, technology, society. I mean, we kind of today started with that because it's easy for us. But I feel like next time we may talk about something that has nothing to do with it. Maybe it's going to be music. Maybe it's going to be a book. Maybe it's going to be a movie. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know, a dish that we cooked. And it's something that
Yeah.
we always wanted to do. Remember, the beginning of ITSP magazine was, yes, we choose a niche that we're gonna be in and talk about, but we just like to talk about stuff, and I love that about us and about our guests
Yep.
that sometimes come on, and outside of the objective of that conversation, we just get together and have chats like you do with the CISO groups and other amazing people that are part of, they just have passion outside of
Yep.
their job, and
Yep.
that's what we have. So on this show, we're going to share exactly that. We're going to share what we're passionate about, and right now it happened to be a little bit of technology related, and next time we'll see. I have no idea.
Yep.
Do you?
Well, it's funny you picked the human or the tech part. as the focus, and I picked the human. I felt today was a very human-driven conversation.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny enough. So
All
different
right, man.
views. Well, good stuff. Excited to be random and unscripted at some other random and unplanned time. I can pretty much guarantee I won't be wearing this hat on the next one, but who knows? It might be a different
Why?
one.
Is it
A
too
random.
hot?
No, because it's in LA and I won't be in LA.
Oh, that's right. You're gonna wear a Yankee hat.
I probably will have, yeah, or a Rangers hat. I don't know. We'll see something. I
All
might
right,
have a special trick up my sleeve. Never know.
maybe you'll get it. We'll get inspired by something that you see there.
It's Fashion Week in New York this coming week. So,
I can talk fashion.
yeah, there you
Yeah, absolutely. I don't wear fashion anymore, but I can talk that.
I'm
can
sure
talk
there's
about
some
fashion.
interesting hats and all kinds of fun stuff to consider there.
Yeah, for sure. So, Sean, is there going to be a podcast?
There will be,
Ah,
but in the 3 hours that we put this together, we haven't created the podcast, but it's called Random and Unscripted. You can find it on ITSP Magazine, and it'll have its own channel on Apple and Spotify and the rest. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube
live,
you'll
give us a couple of hours to actually set up the
there'll
podcast.
be a playlist there for the show there as well. Of course, you can always find Marco and myself on itspmagazine.com or at marcochiappelli.com or seanmartin.com, and all our stuff is there as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this conversation. Hopefully you think a little bit differently, or think at least something about what we said today. And hopefully you join us on another episode of Random and Unscripted.
Stay tuned, subscribe, share it. Why not? If it's you're running into it on LinkedIn and other ITSP Magazine channel like Facebook and YouTube, and maybe we'll start an Instagram as well. Just share it. Let people know we're here. We appreciate that. And if you have some topics that are random and unscripted you want us to talk about, we will be happy to do that. So let's call it.
Peace.
This is a special announcement. We are heading to RSA conference in San Francisco for our 11th years of coverage, April 28, May 1st.
And as always, we're bringing you keynotes, conversations with organizers, speakers, industry leaders, plus the latest insights from the world of cybersecurity.
And we'll reconnect with old friends, meet new ones, and of course, we want you and your company to join us.
We have a few spots left for full sponsorship and our on-location briefings. You can book yours now at itspmagazine.com/RSAC.
We're going.
And you're coming with us.